TV, and we have a very special guest who's joining us right now. She's 34-year-old Akanksha Arora. She's an employee at the United Nations and now in the running for the top job. Good morning, Akanksha. Thank you very much for speaking to us on Republic TV.
Good morning, Nupur. Thank you so much for having me. Delighted to be here.
Akanksha, I'm going to ask you this question that's often been asked. You know, a lot of people are asking you, you are 34, you've been employed with the UN for barely 3 years, I think, and they've called you a long shot. They've asked you questions like, are you serious about this? But what do you think that you bring to the table, and why should everybody, why should all those naysayers essentially be defeated?
So I've been at the UN for 4 years. Prior to that, I was a manager with PricewaterhouseCoopers. I wrote audit standards for Canada. I taught at University of Toronto, and I was writing guidance for Elections Canada as well. So I come with like a breadth of experience nationally and internationally when I was hired by the UN to serve on the financial reforms. And my decision to run for this position is not because I seek the top position, it's because I believe in the UN. But the UN of today is not serving people. Let me give you a couple examples. Today, we have the highest number of refugees and displaced people in the world, 85 million people. And these are not people who are voters in any country. They're not those who have social media to tell their stories. They just have the UN to serve them, and UN is not able to meet their basic humanitarian needs of food, clothing, shelter, security, which leaves them to fend for themselves. And what options do they have? They're smuggled, they're trafficked, they're lured to join terrorist organization. And this is the reason why I'm running to serve these people. Climate, we've all agreed on the science of climate. No one disagrees on that. Now let's put some numbers behind it. For every dollar that UN gets for climate, 15 cents, 1.5, is used for nature-based solution. Everything else goes into talking about climate change, holding conferences, writing reports. So to my naysayers, I have to say that the ground underneath them has shifted. After COVID, we cannot go back to old ways of doing things. We cannot just talk and show advertising reports and hope that that would be enough. We need a UN that serves all people. And most of all, I bring a generational and gender difference that in the last 75 years, we've never had a female Secretary General. What is that showing to the world? This is an institution that preaches gender equality, has failed to practice it. Half of the world is under 30, majority is youth. When will my generation get a seat at the table? And that's what this candidacy is about.
Absolutely. Akanksha, I'd like to pick up from that point where you say that the UN has never, ever had a female at the top job. Now, we've had several people run for it, but never have member states essentially come out and supported them, which is, essential for the top job at the UN. So do you think that it is time for the UN now to actually walk the talk and get someone who's a woman, who's young, into the role?
Absolutely. Feminine leadership is different than masculine leadership. We've seen that in different professions. We've seen that in countries, and that has to be given a chance at the UN. It's unfortunate that half of the gender in the world is ignored by the UN. In 2016, there were 7 candidates that were women, and they were all the same profile as the current Secretary General, all the same age group, same experience profile, yet member states did not choose a woman. They chose a man to be the Secretary General. So this year, I'm giving them something different. I am a different age group. I have a different set of experiences, very relevant. And this time, they have to show support. There cannot be any reason. Because to me, I'm starting to question, who is that one woman that these men can accept as acceptable, that one person who can fill their wish list? And I think that's what this candidacy is all about. If you really mean women empowerment, then I'm a woman. I need to be on the ballot, and I need to be heard by member states and present my candidacy.
Now, Akanksha, apart from that, let's talk a bit about your upbringing. I understand you were Indian origin, you've studied in Canada, you've lived a part of your life in Saudi Arabia. How does that change your worldview, having lived in so many different parts of the world?
I was born in India. I have such fond memories of India, and I then moved to Saudi and then Canada. And I think what it makes you is a global citizen. You forget to distinguish people based on their country, based on their language. You just see people as humans. And I think that's what the role of Secretary General is about, to see that equality, that humanness in every person and in every country as well, that we need to meet their needs. of all countries equally. And that global empathy is what I bring to the table as a global citizen of the world. And today, my generation, which is majority of the world, we don't really identify ourselves as one nation, one gender. We identify ourselves as people, as innovators, as those who want to make a difference. And I think that's what we need in a Secretary General who can see the world as the rest of the population sees it.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you say that you are young, you are a global citizen, and you chose Twitter to launch your campaign. You've got a video on YouTube where you are telling rather people why you think you are the best person for this job. So in that sense, we see, the changes that the youth want to bring. What do you have to say about that?
Youth, we are the generation that has ushered industrial revolution. We are the generation that has developed a lot of technologies that are allowing people to live longer, live a comfortable life. Yet when it comes to politics, we are given something called visitation rights, but not participation rights. People are like, oh yeah, come clap on our speeches, see from this glass window what we're doing, but don't tell us what to do. It's high time that this is the UN we will inherit. This is the world we will inherit, that we need to be part of decision making. And that's what this candidacy is all about. I'll share with you a personal experience. On one of my work trips at the UN, I went to Africa in Uganda, and I saw a child eat mud. It was a devastating image for me to see this little girl by the gas station eating mud. And all I could do for her at that time was give her cash and food. I tried to ask people, is she related to you? Would you be looking after her? And no one stopped to even answer that question. That image has always been stuck with me. So when I came to New York, I asked one of our senior officials, why was that child eating mud? Why can't we do things differently? Why can't we help people? And he said, I quote, mud is good for children. It has iron. So this is a senior official with 25 years experience saying and having this level of apathy to the job he wants to do. So this is high time that we bring moral and conscious leadership to the table. And this is high time that my generation gets to set the stage on what is the world that we want to live in and what is the world that we want to take from the old guard.
Absolutely, we've inherited the world, and you think it's our responsibility to take it forward. Now, Akanksha, you've said in the past that the UN has an inability to deliver, and that essentially is the problem with the United Nations. Now, could you elaborate on why you said that?
Absolutely. And first of all, I should say, COVID, what India is going through. So my hearts and prayers go out with everyone. And having lost my own grandmother to COVID, in January this year, I definitely know the pain that people are going through. And in that context, I think the world that is going through a humanitarian crisis right now can all agree, just because when a head of state or someone says, we will invest in a vaccine, we will do something, that's decision, right? Does that mean results? Not really, it's just a decision. Even when the vaccine is made, does that really mean it's success? No, success for any problem is implementation. When you've taken a decision and fully implemented it through. With that context, at the UN, the decisions are passed by Security Council, General Assembly, and Economic and Social Commissions, but the implementation rests with Secretariat, and they have failed in that. The examples are in different areas. Development. In 1980, China's GDP was below all but 3 African countries. Today, China is the second largest economy, and Africa that has received the most funding from the UN is not where it should have been. What happened? That's because UN uses a different talking approach to development. You give money to the top and you hope it'll trickle down. So they just focus on the top and talking, and they don't focus on delivery. India, on the other hand, has used a development approach that is bottom up. Digitization is what led to country coming out of poverty. And that is the approach that I want to say. Implementation means doing things that directly help people at the bottom, and we can see the results, which is what I'm proposing: universal education and universal internet. When it comes to implementation on peace and security matters, Libya is one country where all the right decisions were passed on the right time. And look where Libya is today. And we haven't been able to, because of that, Syria has always had a veto from Russia because our implementation has failed. So what I mean by implementation is you take a decision and you implement it all the way through until you see the results in the lives of people. But the UN stops because we give the job to mostly politicians whose job it is to talk and not take things through.
I'd like to offer our deepest condolences to you at the loss of your grandmother. Here in India, we've heard, most of us have been affected by COVID. We've lost our near and dear friends. We've lost, family members. What's your message to Indians who are battling it out in this pandemic right now?
I think I just want, no words can express the loss of life. Anything I say at this point will, anyone who's lost someone knows what it means. Like you just don't realize that this person who was healthy is just gone. So my message to everyone is that we are a country of faith. We are a country of solidarity. Together we can get through this. The whole world is behind us. And I know we will be able to overcome this pandemic together, and all the money and resources. And I plead to the world, all the resources that India needs, financial and non-financial, to please be given as soon as possible. And my prayers are with everyone. And I just want to say that those who are in healthcare are doing such a great job. So please, everyone respect the boundaries of staying in the lockdown wherever they can. And kudos to our first responders as well.
Thank you very much, Akanksha, for speaking to us this morning. We wish you all the very best as you fight for the top job at the UN. We hope you get it, and we hope you break all those barriers that you want to.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I really hope that this will inspire my generation, my gender, to take more important roles in the world everywhere. Thank you.